Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Electrician's Life. What this channel is about is showing you how to do commercial electrical work. So if you are interested in the field and you want to have an idea of what we do as commercial electricians, these are the sorts of videos to watch. Now this first one, I'm just going to be showing you a whole bunch of tools that I use, talking about how you use them, what sort of situations you use them in. And as you can see here, I have my tool belt. This is an Occidental leather. They are quite pricey, but they are very good. You can see all the bits and pieces I have. So starting with this little chain over here to hold all the wires, the tapes to tape up wires. So mostly we use black tape. If we need to recolor a wire, we will use blue or red for a lot of stuff. Most commonly used tools are linemen's, so you're going to use these to cut and to twist. Side cutters, also called diagonal cutters, really just for cutting wires. Needle nose, long nose pliers, you can cut and you can grab things that are fine pointed. We're also going to have a range of screwdrivers. One of my most useful screwdrivers, you can take a look over here, is a combination flat and Phillips head, because a lot of screws these days you can use either a flathead or a Phillips, and this works on those screws and it gets a really nice good grip. This is made by Ideal. The model number is 35204. When I broke my last pair of the tip, I immediately bought another one. That's how useful those are. This is a sheetrock saw. You're going to do a lot of cutting into sheetrock, also called drywall. So these get prime position in my tool pouch. Easy to grab, easy to use, easy to get at. Then I have a normal Phillips head, because not all screwdriver heads have the Phillips and flathead combination. Sometimes you just have a Phillips head, and then I have a few flatheads as well, and then a fine point one. Now the important tool is a wire stripper. You'll see this goes from 10 gauge right up to 18 gauge, and you'll see it's also got a little bender, which I'll show you how they use that in a moment. Also easily accessible position, and you have a big screwdriver. This is what we call a beater. You can see the back is being hammered somewhat. If you need to knock a hole in something or just hit something in a difficult to get to spot, we're typically going to use a big beater screwdriver, and this is an electrician's hammer most of the time. Residential guys have hammers. Commercial guys seldom use hammers, so we use whatever big heavy tool is easiest to hand, which is usually the lineman's. This is a EMT reaming tool. You can see how this is 1 inch, 3/4, ½ inch, and then it's got a flathead screwdriver on the end there. I'll show you how those work in a moment. Another thing you're going to use a lot of is a level, which is just a regular level, and then also for bending EMT you're going to use, you'll see there we have a 30-degree bend, a 40 and a 90. Those are the most common bends you're going to use when bending EMT, that's electric metallic tubing, which is used all the time in commercial electrical work. Next we have a nut driver set. This has a combination head, so you go from 3/16, 1/4 inch nut driver, 3/8 on that end, 5/16, so it's reversible each side, and that's a very useful tool to have. Then you'll also see what I have over here are other nut drivers that go on my impact wrench. Impact wrenches you use all day, pretty much every day. So there are 3 common sizes which we use quite a lot. Apart from that, I have these pliers. Knipex make a really good quality. I like the push buttons so they don't slide on you as you're trying to grab something. Those lock in, you push it with your thumb, you can slide it to your size. And these are flat jaws. If you want to squash something, get it flat again. So if something's a little bent, like a piece of sheet metal that's got a little bend in it and you want to flatten that out, you just open it to the right point and you get a lot of leverage on these handles. And also Knipex, these are also really great. Also with the push button slide, these jaws have a lot of good grip. So if you need to grip and turn something in a difficult to get to spot, these work great for that. So that's most of my tools. Let's see what else I have in here. Obviously a knife. An electrician without a knife is useless. And I'm sure I have something else in here. Yes, an angle driver. So sometimes you don't have space to get at a screw. So if you've got a screw over here and you've got something else blocking it and you can't get your screwdriver in there, you're going to put on one of these handy dandy angle drivers. So you can pull out your screwdriver head and that gives you a 90-degree angle gear. These work really great in a tight situation. That's not something you use all the time, but when you need it, you need it. I'm going to show you another little tool that I have right here in my hand. This is a wire stripper, very much like the other one I showed you. So this one goes from 10 gauge up to 18 gauge. This one only goes 12 gauge and 14 gauge, but you'll see over here you have 12-2 and 14-2, and those are different shaped. Residential guys might like this. This is 14-2 Romex, and what this does is strips the outer sheathing without damaging the wires. So you'll see that fits really nicely right over there. You give it a good squeeze, you give that a little bend, and you slide it right off, and your inner wires are not damaged at all. You certainly don't want to nick the insulation on your hot and your neutral, especially your hot. And if you, typically what guys do is they use a knife like this and they're going to try to score it around, and invariably somebody's going to nick the insulation. So if you're doing residential work, especially home guys, doing your own stuff at home, this is a really good, that's made by Klein. I don't see a model number, but they are available at, I got this at Home Depot. And so you should be able to find those. Okay, so getting back to wire strippers, so we're going to put this in the 14 gauge. You're going to clip and pull. Now when you want to bend a piece of wire, that's where these little holes come in very handy. You put the wire in the little hook and give it a bend. So when you install in receptacles, plugs, you're going to use that all the time because you're going to bend that wire to go around the screw on a plug and then screw it down tight. Okay, a few other tools we have. This is a wire nut driver. This is a normal standard wire nut. This goes in to an impact wrench. Some people don't like these. I'm just going to show you how quick and easy it is to strip and join two wires together. I got that on the wrong side. Okay. And you're done. I'll just take that off now, and you can see those wires are properly twisted together. There's a danger with this. The danger is to over twist. If you twist it too much, the wires will pop out the back of your nut, of your wire nut, and then you're going to have a bare wire sticking out. These are supposed to be insulating, and if you have a bare wire coming right out the back of your wire nut, that kind of defeats the purpose of the insulation. So I'll show you what happens if you go too far. Now this is 14 gauge, it's probably not strong enough. 12 gauge, it'll do it all the time. It'll drill a hole right through the back of your nut driver. You can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera, that's a little bit chewed up there. But I've done it by hand. I've tightened wire nuts on a single wire by hand, and it's gone right through the back of the nut. Ah, there we go. And it's easy to do with one of these on an impact, so you've got to be very careful when using those. It takes a few turns to get used to it. So there you can see that wire is coming right through the nut, the wire nut. Right, when working with EMT, another thing you're going to use a lot of is a hole saw. I use Klein. They're pretty good. The most common sizes you're going to use are 1/2 inch. That's a industry standard 1/2 inch. It's not an actual 1/2 inch. 3/4 and a 1 inch. That's a pretty good quality set.